Well, good morning. This is the Brian HORNBACK Experience Express Edition number 2. It's been a little while since I've been on here. A lot of stuff is going on, so I'm just going to cover this pretty quickly, as quick as I can, and we'll be back either tonight or this weekend with some more. But what's going on in Nashville? Wow. A lot of things have gone on in Nashville since I was last on here. 3 state legislators were up for expulsion. 2 of them were expelled. Both Justin Jones and Justin Pearson. Justin Jones out of Nashville and Justin Pearson out of Shelby County, Memphis, were expelled. Justin Jones was reinstated on the Monday after he was expelled. I know he didn't miss a vote. He might have only missed a few minutes of that first session on the Monday evening. Justin Pearson, so the Davidson County Nashville Metro Council reappointed Justin Jones. And then Justin Pearson was reappointed the Wednesday after that by the Shelby County Commission. So they're back in their positions. They will have to face a special election. I believe the one in Nashville set for June the 5th, so I'm assuming that the one in Memphis is the same. Gloria Johnson, the third of what they're calling the Tennessee Three, there was not enough votes to expel her. If they were doing it, because they had disrupted decorum in the House, which is a violation of the House rules. But if they were doing it for purely partisan reasons, the one seat that would have flipped to a Republican for at least the last 2 weeks of this session, until the special election, would have been Gloria Johnson's seat. But the problem was that the resolutions that they authored to expel them, the allegations on Johnson weren't the same. She did not use a bullhorn. She did not chant. She did not raise her voice from the well. All she simply did was walk to the well. Now, there could be some argument that, well, she knew better, because both Jones and Pearson are in their first term. Jones was seated the 1st of January. Pearson wasn't seated until like the end of February. Johnson has been there. She served 1 term, and then she was out for about 2 or 3 terms. And then she's been back now for 2 or 3 terms. So she's been there for a while. So she should have known the rules a little bit more than Jones or Pearson. But again, the requirement is that you should know the rules. I think I had posted that, I would tend to agree with Representative Sam Whitson out of Franklin. His thought was that when you expel these people, you're going to make them martyrs. And so, they did. They got a world. They got on every major news channel. They got flown on the Sunday before the Sunday after the expulsion. I believe the expulsion was on a Thursday night. They were able to, they were flown to New York on Sunday night, spent the night, appeared on Good Morning America on Monday morning, and then flown back to Nashville. So, they did get some world travel out of that. It brought them some notoriety and brought some attention to Tennessee that maybe the Republicans weren't really thinking about. Then again, maybe the lack of decorum or the violation of the rules was enough that they felt warranted. But following that, then we get this leaked audio from the Republican caucus meeting where Jason Zachary from Knox County and Scott Sapicki from Maury County are the two leading voices on that, and they're just outraged. They're outraged primarily at Jody Barrett, Representative Jody Barrett, who I believe is a freshman, because he was one of them that didn't vote for expulsion on Johnson. And Brian Terry, they were upset at Brian Terry, but Brian Terry apparently was not in the caucus meeting. It's really funny that Jason Zachary would want to be upset that someone didn't commit to what either they were told or to the caucus or to the caucus position, when this is the same guy that during the school voucher vote not only voted no, and then during the 45-minute recess went out on the porch with then Speaker Cassida, after Speaker Cassida, as we've heard in the news, from former State Representative John Mark Wendell, was offered a promotion in the Tennessee Guard to switch his vote, and he refused. Then Jason Zachary switched his vote. Interestingly enough, Jason Zachary's reason, supposedly, for doing that, for flipping his vote, was that they excluded Knox County and made Knox County, held Knox County harmless. But what's happened this year, now that that bill happened, 3 years ago, and that now they 2 years in litigation, and now we're about 5 months in on that voucher. Now what do they do this year? But they added Knox County back in. So, it's interesting that Jason Zachary would be upset with Jody Barrett for not keeping his word or not keeping his vote, but Mr. Zachary's not been exactly a stellar of keeping his word either. So that's been interesting. And then yesterday, this is on Friday, April 21st, and then yesterday word came out that Representative Scotty Campbell, about midday, resigned. He resigned because apparently Phil Williams at News Channel 5 had discovered some information from like March the 29th. This is April 21st, almost a month ago. An ethics committee had investigated some claims of sexual harassment on Scotty Campbell, a representative from Mountain City. It's as far east as you can go in the state until you get to Boone, North Carolina. That apparently he had sexually harassed a legislative intern. A legislative intern is a college student that is working for credit and money, and so this all happened not at the Capitol, but happened at apartment complex that they both rented apartments nearby each other in the same building. But obviously she was a legislative intern. He, being a representative, obviously knew she was an intern. So there were some conversations. According to the report that Phil Williams had, there was some touching, maybe holding her against her will. He has not been committed to any of that on camera. He denied it. He called it a consensual private conversation. It's interesting. The word private conversation popped up yesterday because when you go back and find out this leaked audio, Jason Zachary uses the word that these were private conversations. Well, maybe it was a private conversation, but it was a caucus meeting, which there are 75 Republican House members that make up the caucus. So how, in Tennessee, you only have to have one party consent to recording a conversation, which means that if it's me and you talking, as long as I know it's being recorded, you don't have to know that it's being recorded. So really and truthfully, a group of anywhere from, could be 75, supposedly Brian Terry wasn't there, so let's say 74 people were in the room. However many people were in the room, only one of those people, whoever's doing the recording, needed to know that it was being recorded. But it's interesting that term, when the term was used from the caucus meeting, that this was private conversation. And then Scotty Campbell yesterday says it was a private, consensual conversation. Now, Scotty Campbell could have gotten the term private conversation from having seen the reports of the leaked audio, or they could have maybe since March 29th, when this ethics committee thing came up, maybe that's where the private conversation terminology came from. Not sure. Just find it interesting that it was being used in that form. So Scotty Campbell is gone. That means that seat is vacant. So that'll be up to the county commission to appoint someone. I guess until they can have they're not halfway through that term, so they can appoint someone until there's a special election. The legislature very well could be done today. At least be done by probably the middle of next week. They've really been rushing everything through. And so we'll see. They could just leave it vacant till the election, till the special election. And then if they do, Governor Lee, another thing I want to mention, Governor Lee, in the aftermath of the Covenant school shooting, where 3 9-year-olds were murdered, 3 adults were murdered in Nashville at a Christian school. He's calling on the legislature to take up what is being called an order protection law. It's also being called a red flag law, which is a form of gun control, gun protection. He's calling on the legislature to reconvene into a special session like they did on the school bills a couple of years ago. And does not appear that the Tennessee Republican caucus is interested in doing that. So we'll see how all that goes. There's going to be a lot of discussion. That's one thing that the Tennessee Three, when they went to the well out of order, were protesting the fact that we don't have some gun control in the aftermath of the Covenant shooting. So we still have that to talk about. So that kind of gets us caught up on Nashville. Here we are, almost 15 minutes in. So it's not really been a great Express edition. It's not been a true Express edition, but I haven't been on here in a while. I really appreciate you checking out brianhornback.com, checking our stories, and appreciate the podcast. I've got some great ideas for some topics, some interviews. Tomorrow is the State Executive Committee, the Republican Party State Executive Committee spring meeting. So I'm sure there'll be some interesting things going on tomorrow. But anyway, I appreciate you tuning in. If there's things that you would like me to talk about, then please either email at Brian, it's with an I, BRIAN, at Brian Hornback, one word, BRIANHORNBACK.com. Check out brianhornback.com on a regular basis. Stories go up daily. Podcasts are going to become more frequent, but I'm getting tired of saying that until I actually prove it. So again, this is the Brian Hornback Experience Express Edition number 2. And we'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks.